Welcome back, everyone. Today we're doing the video I have been wanting to do for months. Ratchet and Clank, post-nexus, where they continue the storyline that left off last in Ratchet and Clank Into the Nexus. So I want to make an announcement real quick. So please subscribe, please hit the bell, because when they do the PlayStation 5 event, when they reveal the console and announce a bunch of probably launch titles, which is supposedly going to be February 5th, I'm going to be doing a live stream looking for that big Ratchet and Clank announcement we've all been waiting for. So please subscribe, hit the bell. I'd love to live the moment with some of you guys. I just think it'd be really special to share a moment with other people that have been waiting as long as I have. So if you want, I'll see you there. At the end of the video, I'm going to talk more about when the game will probably be announced, if it's not the PS5 event, but we'll talk about announcements later at the end of the video. But subscribe, hit the bell anyways, because all the big events, will be streaming them live. And I just want to make sure we capture that moment where we finally see that little fuzzy dude on the big screen. Yeah, whatever, you know what I mean. Anyways. Alright, Ratchet and Clank, where the next game? What's going on? Well, Insomniac, we all know Insomniac. What'd they say? Well, they acknowledged that they know the next game in Ratchet and Clank they do is basically going to be either Going Commando reimagining, which I did a video on, check that out, down there, up there, all that. If they don't do that, then it'll be a post-Nexus game, meaning they'll pick up the storyline from after Into the Nexus, which is all about Ratchet finding the Lombaxes, finding his race, because he's the only Lombax, all that, yada yada yada. We're going to talk about something that has not been talked about before, and it's really big, because it just kind of happened. I don't know if anybody has talked about it much recently, if it's got a lot of traction, but this is really important, okay? Trust me, you're gonna want to see it. So there's a lot to go over before we go straight into what the post-Nexus game is going to be. You know, this is, again, assuming that they actually do this route. So assuming, I like to talk about the probability of these things. When I do these videos, I like to talk about things that actually have a chance at happening. This actually has a pretty good chance at happening. But let's discuss. What's the reason? Why won't this game happen? Why will they just do a 2016 continuation, sequel, a Going Commando, something, just ignore the Lombax thing indefinitely? Well, that whole story started 13 years ago. Why would they go back to a story from 13 years ago when they just rebooted the franchise and have successfully made new fans? You know, it was a success. That's why they're making another game. They keep telling us how well it did when asked about, you know, another game. Like, hey, it did well. There's gonna be another one. They have new fans with this reboot. Why would they go back to an old story? You know, that seems to be like the main argument here. My counter argument to that is actually an analogy that I came up with. I feel like some people might not like this analogy so much, but comparing it to Star Wars. Okay, listen, I'm a pretty casual Star Wars fan. I've only seen them all once, and I like them. I think they're fine. I watched the new one, the last one, and I thought it was fine. I enjoyed it. I know there's things wrong with it, but I liked it. Anyways, not important. So what does Ratchet and Clank have to do with Star Wars? Well, aside from it having tons of inspiration from Star Wars throughout all the games, let's say there's the original Star Wars movies, which I know there's like the originals and the prequels, but those are all just going to be the originals for now. And then there's the Disney saga. So that Disney saga is kind of its own thing. You know, you could watch those as its own thing, like you could watch the prequels as its own thing, as you could watch episode 4, 5, 6 as its own thing. The Disney thing is like its own thing, although it is a part of the rest of the other movies. But you don't really necessarily have to have seen the other movies because it is its own thing, you know? But they can definitely make it like its own new story while still pertaining to the old things that we want answers to. They can just kind of reintroduce it in a way, or, you know, they can make it work. Going back to what I always like to bring up is Sony saying that Ratchet and Clank is vital for the future. Listen, vital is a strong word. Vital for the future, like, to me, I don't think I'm really just being overly optimistic, but that kind of sounds like more than one game potentially. I really do feel like it could be more than one game. That's, of course, assuming that this next one does well, which I'm sure it will. Insomniac is first party now. You know, the last game did really well. Crack in Time did really well. It's probably going to be a pretty significant game. And that's another video, the next video that I want to do, if I am able to in time before the game gets announced, that this next game does have a lot of potential. I want to talk about that, but another day. But with that said, it's probably going to do well, and it could do another sequel if they want to. And, you know, Insomniac talks about all the time how much they love Ratchet and Clank, and they just, you know, they have a lot of passion for it still. So I could definitely see like a whole new like trilogy. I don't know if the 2016 game would count as a part of that trilogy, so there's only gonna be like 2 more, or if the 2016 game is like its own thing and there's gonna be like a new trilogy of games about the Lombaxes now, and it ends with them finally getting to the Lombax dimension. Again, we'll talk about how that plays out exactly with the post-Nexus thing, how that would all play out exactly. We'll talk about that in a minute. A lot of things to go over first. So before we get into all of it, I know, just be patient. It's important, I swear. Let's quickly recap to where we are in the storyline so that we know where we can go from, okay? So the first 4 games, it doesn't matter, except for one little tiny little exception. But then there's the PSP games, doesn't matter. And then there's Tools of Destruction. This is where we get into like the real, like, actual story that we're all obsessed with right now. So Ratchet is the last of his kind, last Lombax. Why? Because of this dude, Cragmite, Percival Tachyon. He finds the Dimensionator made by the Lombaxes during the Great War, a big war between the Lombaxes and the Cragmites. The Lombaxes made the Dimensionator to rip a portal to another dimension. And I want to be clear about this. A dimension is not a place you could physically travel to on a spaceship, on foot, whatever. Like, it's not just takes you to the other side of the universe, a different place in the universe. A dimension is like a completely different dimensional plane. It's a different universe. You have to take a portal there. I just want to be clear about that. So they send the Cragmites to another dimension. Now Tachyon, he finds this Dimensionator. He brings them back. We stop him, kick his butt. But before that happens, he pulls the Dimensionator, and we see a portal to the Lombax dimension, and we see those big old towers with the big old Lombax ears on them. And I wouldn't mind if they like took away the Lombax ear thing, and if they just decide to go this route. They don't like, I mean, really? It's a little tacky, I'm gonna be honest. Tacky, that was nice. Tachyon, yeah. Anyways, but Ratchet refuses. We kick his butt. He falls in a black hole, or again, maybe it's some special black hole. We don't know exactly where he took us. It's just a random place in space where we fight him. So then, quest for booty. And then, a crack in time. What happens in a crack in time? Spoilers, by the way, especially for this game, because this is a big game. If you haven't played this, just like skip ahead a little bit, because this is good stuff. But we find another Lombax. What's his name? General Alistair Azimuth. So what's this dude's story? Where has he been this whole time? Well, back after the Great War, the Lombaxes kept a Cragmite egg and raised him as their own. That was Tachyon. He wanted to use the Lombax technology for stuff and things. And Azimuth was like, yeah, let's do it. And then Caden, who's Ratchet's dad, friends with Alistair, was like, no, let's not trust this guy. Even though we raised him and wanted to keep him and make him our own, let's not trust him. Alistair was like, no, yeah, let's do it. Yeah, he screwed up, and he killed everyone. Or banished them to another dimension, the Lombax dimension. Alistair was cast out as a part of that, and Caden assumed dead. Now, here's the big spoilery part for A Crack in Time. So, Alistair is, he's not around anymore. He's not here anymore. But, also, Ratchet died. Are we gonna acknowledge that ever? Ratchet died. I feel like they gotta have a sit down. Clank's gonna be like, Ratchet, bro, you died. I don't know, maybe it's just too much for Ratchet to handle, but there's gotta be like some kind of like, just Clank like talking to himself kind of thing that only the player sees, where he's like, should I tell him? Some kind of dilemma. Like, they have to acknowledge it. It's so weird that they pulled that huge thing and just Ratchet doesn't even know about it. Like, that's so wild. So then they're back together, and Ratchet decides to not, you know, he's more important with Clank and Talwyn. So then there's 2 other games, and then there's Into the Nexus. What about Angela? Shut up. So then Into the Nexus. There's these 2 villains, whatever, they make their own Dimensionator so that they can bring their race back, the Nether, and they make their own, and it works. And then Ratchet gets the real one, and they stop them from doing that. And then the Dimensionator is broken. So the only real takeaway from this game is that, well, there was some deaths, but also, at the very end, you see the Dimensionator, and it's broken, and then Clank grabs it, pulls it off screen. You assume he's going to fix it, so Ratchet, he wants to fix it for Ratchet. He's like, you deserve to find your family. We're gonna find your family. Yeah, that was like 7 years ago. It never happened. It never happened. That's why we're here making this video here in 2020. So what's the I don't know, man. But that's where we're left off, basically, okay? So, the 2016 game, how does that fall into all of this? Well, really, I was a little concerned, but I found out, actually, I totally forgot about this. There's this Push Square article where they ask Insomniac this very question. Is the 2016 game canon? Or are all the other games not canon anymore? Or are they still? Or is this a new timeline? Like, what's going on here? And basically, they just assure us that, you know, the 2016 game hits all of the main points that the original game does. Ratchet is an orphan, Clank is still a defect, they still meet, Drek happens, it's all the same. It's just told a bit differently, and by Quark. My only concern originally was, well, the beginning cutscene and the end cutscene, Quark is in prison. How does that work out? Well, technically, at the beginning of Going Commando, he is in prison anyways, so it fits. So where does this game fit in the timeline? I guess just like right over the 2002 game, and it just both of them go into Going Commando. It doesn't matter. It really is just, they want to assure us it's just a cleaner telling of the same story. So it's interesting, they specifically call out the future series that it's still canon and everything else is canon. So they're just assuring us that, yeah, no, this all the future games happened. We could still go back to that. Interesting. Because there is one more like really big reason that this will happen, which we'll get to at the end. Sorry. It'll make sense, just trust me. Well, let's get into the first big news here, something I don't think anybody has talked about ever before because it's new. This is brand new stuff. So what happened was on Twitter, TJ Fixman, the writer of the Future Games that wrote this whole Lombax story that we're all obsessed with now, he said, well, somebody asked him at the end of 2019, hey, end of the year, can we get some kind of hint about the Lombaxes? He quoted them, he said, well, how about instead a related Easter egg? That Easter egg being in Quest for Booty, the cave, how do you say it, Lython Caves is an anagram. If you're unaware, an anagram is when you rearrange the letters of a sentence or a word and you rearrange them and you make a new sentence or phrase or word or whatever. So that is an anagram for something. And what is it? Well, credit to this person or people that figured it out before I had time to. Tachyon lives. Tachyon lives. Tachyon lives. Tachyon is alive. Like, I'm sure there's probably been theories about like, oh, what if he's alive somehow? But this is like basically confirmed that like Tachyon is alive. Like the writer that wrote these games is saying, hey, this is an Easter egg for something relating to the Lombaxes. Well, Tachyon very much relates to the Lombaxes. Him surviving is a pretty significant thing to say about the Lombaxes. Like, what else could it be? Right? That's it. Tachyon lives. Hey, pop it in really quick, because I thought I should note that TJ Fixman doesn't actually even work for Insomniac Games anymore. However, that doesn't mean that this isn't going to happen. It just means that they have new writers and they can do whatever they want. They could just write off the whole Tachyon lives coincidence as just a weird coincidence. But I do still think they are going to run with this because of something that I'm going to talk about later is a big thing that they teased. I think, what was it, like in 2018 was this big tease well after TJ Fixman left, which kind of supports the whole Tachyon lives thing. So I think it could still happen, but I just want to note that he does not work for them anymore, so just to clarify that. Also, I'm a huge dum-dum. I totally forgot that in Tools of Destruction, Ratchet and Clank actually fly through a black hole. They do go through black holes, so it's known that black holes are just portals, and he takes it to go to a planet Jusindu to find the Dimensionator. So yeah, black holes are portals across the universe. So I'm going to talk about this theory that I had about how black holes could come into play with the next game, but I guess they are just portals to parts of the universe, not dimensions. But the question still remains, how did Tachyon survive? Because, you know, Ratchet's ship is clearly capable of doing it, but a Cragmite just out in space flying through it with no protection, how does he survive that? So I don't know, but I just wanted to be clear that it is canon that black holes, you can fly through them and they are portals. But anyways, on with the rest of whatever I was saying. Well, okay, what the heck? How is Tachyon alive? He fell in a black hole at the end of the game. I don't know what Insomniac could pull out of their booty holes to say that Tachyon's alive somehow, but maybe this is my theory, and this is a really exciting theory because this plays into the gameplay of the next game, which is a very exciting idea for gameplay of the next game, which ties into an older video I did not too long ago about an open world RPG Ratchet and Clank game, which really makes sense for that because the PS5 is an SSD, and we'll talk about it. But he fell in a black hole, right? What if black holes are just wormholes to either other side of the universe, or maybe they're dimensional portals? They go to other dimensions. They're like natural dimensionators. Because like in real life, if you get too close to a black hole, you're dead. It'll just rip you apart. Like maybe it is a portal to another dimension. We're never gonna know. It'll rip you up, you die. There's no way to get inside of it. So how does Tachyon do it? I don't know. So maybe it's a wormhole, other side of the universe. Maybe it's a dimension. It takes you to a different dimension. So maybe Tachyon is alive. He fell through, he's somewhere, he's alive, and he's gonna come back. So this black hole theory I have, right? So what if, so black holes, let's say they are wormholes, right? They take you to the different parts of the universe. What if that's how the open world works? That's how you get to different systems, different planets. It's like No Man's Sky. You just hop in a black hole, boom, you're there. PlayStation 5's got an SSD, load times out the window, you just fly through it. You're at a completely different level, basically, and there's space exploration still, moons, more side missions, all this good stuff, and you can just go to other planets, other systems. There's so much. There's just so much. That's so exciting. That's like, it's so exciting to think about. Even more exciting if they're not just wormholes, but they're just natural dimensional portals. You're not going to different systems, you're going to different dimensions throughout the game. That's a freaking exciting thought right there. Come on, Insomniac, you listening to this? Take another year, make this happen. Or not, I don't know. But I trust you guys, I trust you. But isn't that exciting? You can just rewrite the laws of physics. Different dimensions, you can do whatever you want in a different dimension. And imagine the weapons. Let's touch on a general topic here about the next game, the weapons. I've said this before, but Insomniac said one thing they learned from making the 2016 games that people are not really fond of seeing the same weapons after all these years. They don't like reused weapons. We want new weapons. They know that. They've said that to us, so I'm pretty sure we can expect to see new weapons in the next game. So imagine if we're going to different dimensions, the kind of weapons that we can pick up from other dimensions. That's freaking exciting, man. Or just even other random parts of the universe. Forget Megacorp and Gadgetron. We could see like 20 different weapon factories. Have a weapon from each of them. Maybe we can pick. Maybe we get like an option of like 3 from each system, and we can pick one or something. That would be cool. There's an idea. Just thought of that one right there on the spot. Look at me go. Well, really quick, while we're on the topic of weapons, I just want to say that personal note, snipers, I hate the sniper. I'm sorry, I don't like the snipers. They're like, it's a first-person thing, it's a third-person game. It doesn't. My resolution to it to make it work out, maybe again, of a more of a general topic about the next game, I want to see more branching paths again. I want to see like how it was like in the first 2 games, especially lots of different options. Maybe some of these paths can be like reoccurring and they can be very different, not just reused, like, you know, the patent, what do you call it, cookie cutter copies of different paths, but ones where you have to have the sniper. Situations where you have to have this, I don't know, some kind of situation where you need the sniper to do some kind of side stuff. Make it useful besides out of combat, because usually you get the sniper, like in a Crack in Time, you get the sniper in a big open world Krell Canyon level where it's appropriate to use the sniper, but like that's kind of it, and then you don't really use it much throughout the rest of the game. It's much more close quarter, mid-quarter combat. You can use it a little bit, but then you're reduced by your mobility, so you're just gonna get destroyed. And I don't know, some people like it, so I might get a little bit of backlash for that, but I personally don't like it. I'd like to see some kind of revamp from it, or just don't do it at all. But side note there, since we're on the topic of weapons. So we're all caught up, Tachyon lives, what else is there? Well, some other theory, which is kind of supported in Tools of Destruction, actually. On Riken 5, when you talk to the smuggler to buy the gyro cycle, and then there's another video about this by VV. If you watch me, you probably know who VV is, but I'll link him below all this video or whatever. He goes more in depth about it. I'm just going to kind of scratch the surface of it, just the basics. But the smuggler, if you go into his dialogue tree when you're buying the gyro cycle, he says that he got the gyro cycle from a Lombax that looked a lot like Ratchet. Ratchet, you know who he looks like? His dad. So I guess Kaidan was shot down by Tachyon, and he found the smuggler, and the smuggler helped him. So maybe Tachyon assumed he died there, or maybe Alistair saw the shipwreck and just assumed he died, but nobody saw his body. There's a lot of things about people just coming back that just don't die. It's kind of annoying, to be honest. But with this, I'm okay with it, because we never see Kaidan. He's just, like, talked about. But, like, I don't want to spoil it, but that one guy from that game where he came back in the next game because Sony wanted him to, I'm just like, come on. But whatever. So Kaidan could very much be alive, and he just had to go with the Lombaxes to their dimension, and he couldn't go back and save Ratchet, or he already sent him to the Solana galaxy or something. I don't know. But I'm just saying there's a possibility that Kaidan's alive, and we could see his appearance in this next game or future games. Okay, let's get it over with. Let's address the elephant in the room, or rather, the Lombax in the room, the female Lombax in the room. So Angela, she's a Lombax, she was in Going Commando. Okay, see, listen, the thing is with Angela, the way I see it, you know, Going Commando, they didn't have a writer for Ratchet and Clank until Up Your Arsenal. When they made Going Commando, they weren't thinking 10 years in advance how Angela, another Lombax, is gonna be. They're just like, oh, let's just make her a Lombax. I don't even know if they meant to do that. I don't know if they just forgot the tale, or they just didn't care, or what. They weren't thinking 10 years in the future. You know, give them a little credit there. Where they went wrong is where they made the main storyline to be about there's no Lombaxes, and then not at all acknowledge that Angela happened. Ratchet and Clank, they don't even have any dialogue where they talk about it. It's only once mentioned in a news story in A Crack in Time, which Ratchet and Clank are listening to but don't acknowledge, where they acknowledge, the news reporters acknowledge Angela, and she's been missing for a while. I guess there's a theory she's with Max Apogee in the Lombax dimension. Supposedly, I don't even remember how that theory works out, but maybe that's a thing. You know, again, Vivi did a video about that as well. I think it was the same video, actually, maybe. And also how Ratchet's mom was friends with Angela's mom in school or something. I guess that's a thing. I don't know. We're talking about other things here. But Angela, like, I don't know why. It's just weird they don't mention her at all. So my theory is they either just want to forget about her and move on. You know, they even mentioned the art book, like, yeah, we're sorry about that one. So they either are just genuinely sorry and they just screwed up, or they've been lying to us this whole time and it's all just to lead up to this next game or this next series of games where she's going to come into play, and they've been purposely making it seem like they forgot about her or something, where she's going to come back somehow. I don't know. Like, she could very easily come back. I could see it happening. Maybe they've had something planned this whole time, potentially, you know? I feel like that could be the case, but don't know. So with all that information, my theory of this game going is that Clank either fixes the Dimensionator or he's about to, but Tachyon comes back and something happens and the game ends with Ratchet finally getting reunited with his family. Or if it's another like trilogy of games, maybe it doesn't happen until the third game, and then the third game he's with the Lombaxes throughout the whole game. That'd be really cool. But this is where we get into the really exciting thing that I am super excited to bounce off you guys and share with you. So I think it was actually the first comment on my first Ratchet and Clank video I did. Was super good. Thank you, Billum Defoe. Love the name, by the way. I pinned his comment. You can go check out that video. It's the big one about the new game soon. But this is what he pointed out, and I can't believe I missed this, because I know I read it, and I just wasn't, because I read it back when I got the art book, but I forgot about it for this. But he points out in the art book that they say, this full view of the franchise explores where it has been and hints at where it is heading beyond 2018. So a pretty good indicator that they do intend on making more games, or at least one more game. But the big notable thing that they could be talking about is the one thing that is not seen in any of the games, which is there is actual concept art for a Lombax society. Get this, what it specifically says is the return of the Cragmites and their prisoners, the Lombax. What did we just find out? Tachyon lives? What is this? An official tease for the next game about the Cragmites returning and having the Lombax as prisoner? It seems almost too perfect. It seems like almost a too perfect of a fit. One other thing here. I want to be clear that how it teases at where the franchise may go next, and it shows, you know, the Lombax society. That doesn't mean that this is what the next game is going to be. Like, hey, this is a tease for the next game, a Lombax society where they're prisoners to the Cragmites. That's just an old concept that they had from years ago, probably, or maybe it's new and they just snuck it in there. But it's probably an older concept that they had. So when it says this is a hint at where it could go next, it's not like this is the hint. It's the hint is that it could be something about Lombax society, something about Cragmites returning and them being the like, not that exactly. Again, just kind of suppressing a little bit of hype just to future-proof this for damage control. You know, like he says, nothing explicitly says this is the hint that it's referring to, but it stands out by far out of everything, because everything else in the book is in one of the games. The Lombax Society is something that we have not seen, but obviously they have concept art for it there. And it's about, you know, the Cragmites returning. Huh? Tachyon is supposedly alive, confirmed by the writer, confirmed by the art book that it is going to happen. This game, a post-nexus game, might actually be the case. This might actually happen. I didn't know which way to lean before, but because it seems like they really want to just do a Going Commando reimagining, or just a sequel to the 2016 game. Like, I feel like I'm being too hopeful to say that they're going to make a post-Nexus game. I don't know, but again, I feel like if, with my little Star Wars analogy, they could make it work, where it's a new thing that people that played the 2016 game can get into it, but it still has to do with the old story that we all want to see a continuation of. It can work. It can work. And there's a lot of things that are making it look like it just might. I don't know about you guys, but I'm super excited for this next game. Again, the best thing about this next game, no matter what it is, it's not a movie tie-in. Speaking of the movie, actually, I want to touch on this. So another reason we might think that it's not going to be a post-nexus game is because Nefarious was heavily teased. He was like the sequel teaser at the end of the movie, and I believe it was also in the game, but it was just the clip from the movie where Nefarious comes out in his robotic form after, you know, being a squishy. So you'd think, okay, well that was the tease for the next game, so that's what the casual fans are going to expect to see. So maybe they might have to incorporate Nefarious somehow into this. Maybe they can just incorporate him into a Lombax society somehow. Maybe he'll turn good or something. I don't know. They'll upgrade him. Ooh. But on the other hand, like, that was the movie. Like, that was for the movie. They did that for again, the game is based on the movie. I really think that if the movie did really well, then we probably would see a Going Commando reimagining or some kind of just direct sequel to the 2016 game. But it didn't do well. But the game did really well. So that just says people care about the games. We want to see the games. The Nefarious tease was for the movie. You know, if the movie did well, they could have done another one. They could have done another movie tie-in game or whatever. It would have been about a Nefarious again, but maybe they'll just scrap that now. Maybe again, Quark just made that up. Maybe Quark just made that up. He didn't directly narrate it, but it wasn't really, I mean, you could say he did because he wasn't there in real time kind of thing. So, okay, so with all that information, when could this game happen? Let's talk announcements. So I've been running with the whole, it'll probably be announced at the PS5 event as a launch title or come out within 6 months of the console releasing. I just want to be a little more skeptical about this. I'm kind of being a little hopeful about talking about this. There's been some new rumors from third-party developers that it's going to be early February, so it's like most definitely happening. There'll probably be, you know, there's going to be third-party there, so you can imagine there'll be probably first-party. Now, it totally could, but there was some stuff. There was like this one rumor of somebody said it's probably going to be on February 5th, and they said there's going to be a Spider-Man announcement, or a tease there at least. I don't know if anything else is right, but I mean, we're so close. Like, by the time this video goes up, it might even be announced, like, what we can maybe expect. Maybe Insomniac might start teasing something in just like a couple weeks anyways. Like, we're so close. I don't know. But here's something that I have been like thinking about for like the past few months. I don't know if I've said this in another video yet, but I'm kind of worried. I kind of worry that, let's say Insomniac comes on stage or they start the trailer and you see the Insomniac logo, everybody's gonna assume Spider-Man, because Spider-Man is like their big thing now. I mean, it's kind of bigger than, I mean, I hate to say it, it's kind of bigger than Ratchet and Clank, but numbers don't lie. So when people see Insomniac, they're like, Spider-Man. It's about Spider-Man, because when they want to advertise the game as Insomniac's game, like, it's gonna be a big deal. It's gonna be Spider-Man 2. So if they show Insomniac's logo and then it's a Ratchet and Clank trailer, like, people are gonna be kind of mad. I can just see it happening. It would be better if like the trailer starts where you see Ratchet before you see Insomniac's logo, so people know, like, oh, new Ratchet and Clank game, okay. But then they're still gonna realize, wait, this is Insomniac. Where's Spider-Man? And they're just gonna get so many questions about Spider-Man anyways. So it actually kind of makes sense to me to see Spider-Man teased first, at least. I guess I remember there was somebody, an insider had said that we can expect to see Spider-Man 2 sooner than expected. And I guess everybody was running with holiday 2021. And you know, Sony likes to announce their big deal games like super in advance, so like a year and a half out. That makes sense. I could totally see that actually. And you know they're working on it, you know, probably alongside Ratchet and Clank, maybe even alongside something else. So they'll have something to tease at least. So if they tease Spider-Man though, are they also going to show Ratchet and Clank? Maybe not. But either way, we're still gonna stream the event because it's gonna be a freaking cool event anyways. So again, subscribe, hit the bell so we don't miss that event. And then Sony announced that they're not gonna be at E3 this year, which was kind of surprising, but it kind of makes sense now that I look at it. I'm sure they'll do some other event of some kind, like at the same time, like how Nintendo does their Nintendo Directs. And there's still gonna be state of plays throughout the year, I'm sure. Those are like, with the one exception, the one they did, they're like at like 6 a.m. for me or something, or like 7 a.m., which is kind of, but I'll try to at least be streaming them just in case. So this year I'm just focusing on like any big PlayStation event that happens where there could be any announcements. I'm going to be streaming it just in case there's a collection announcement, a backwards compatibility announcement, which, well, that'll probably be announced at the PS5 event, which is another reason to subscribe and hit the bell so we can celebrate and rejoice that we can finally play any Ratchet and Clank game besides the PS4 game on current gen hardware. But a collection, the next game, whatever they announce, whatever place it could be announced, I want to stream it just in case it happens. Even when stuff does happen, I still want to live stream the other big things, like whatever they do during E3 or PlayStation Experience, or no matter what, the PlayStation 5 event. So I don't want to get too many hopes up that it will be announced at the PS5 event. It might not, but it totally might. Either way, we're gonna stream it, we'll have a good time, and then whatever event they do in the future, we'll be sure to stream that. I'll talk about that later when that comes up, but we'll stream those. So again, bell, subscribe. I'm pushing it in too hard, I know. Those were the wrong choice of words. But yeah, I know, we can't wait, but this year, it's gonna happen. We're so close to finding out more. Just hang in there with me, okay? But subscribe and hit the bell so we can experience it together. It'd be cool to have the other people, big moment. Be fun. But yeah, to recap, Tachyon lives, Caden's probably alive, Angela's probably out there somewhere, or they just probably forgot about her and we're not going to see her ever again. The Lombaxes, we're going to see them. There could be more than one game. Post-nexus, we're finally going to get an answer to the Lombaxes. Nefarious is probably scrapped, or he's going to play a role in this somehow, because again, he was part of the movies, so the movie did bad, so we're not going to see any more movie stuff. But again, the best thing about this next game, no matter what happens, what it is, it's not a movie tie-in, so it's gonna be good. But anyways, that does it. Again, please subscribe, hit the bell. We're gonna be streaming the PS5 again. It'd be cool to be with others to experience, you know, the final reveal after all these years of the next Ratchet and Clank game. I'd really love to be with others for that, if you want to, if you choose to. If not, that's fine. I'll have a great time on my own anyways. You can click off now. I'm gonna do some little update stuff now if you care, for those that cares, if there's anyone that cares. But yeah, thank you all for your time. Anyways, so next video I want to do is going more in depth on the very strong potential that this next game has, and again, no matter what it is, and to be taken with a minor, very tiny, insignificant grain of, or big grain of salt. I don't know. I don't really understand that metaphor, take it with a grain of salt, or that saying, whatever. But there's a lot of reasons I suspect the next game could be like a big deal, and I want to do a separate video on that. If you know, unless they announce the game soon, we find out all about it before I can get that video out. But I don't know, we'll see when the game is announced. We'll do like a trailer analysis and all that. I'm really excited to make content after they finally freaking announce the game. That is going to be exciting. Going to work all day is going to be really rough when I would just want to come home. It's just, oh man. I got some new games that I want to be going through. Like, if you haven't seen my Death Stranding video where I played the whole game, 50-hour playthrough, condensed it into a no context super cut of the whole game in 30 minutes. I want to do more stuff like that, although none of these games are 50 hours, so it should be a little more coherent. It'll still be a super cut, it just probably won't be 30 minutes. But yeah, I got some fun games I'm excited to get into. I got into one of them already, but yeah, we'll expect those eventually. Some other stuff, I got a bunch of fun things planned that are also Ratchet and Clank related. Also, I recently just, my girlfriend, Skyly, we just played Sly Cooper, the first one. For the first time, I'm introducing her to Sly Cooper now after we played all the PS3 Ratchet games. And she's seen all the PS2 ones, but we're getting into Sly now. I'm really into Sly right now. I'm just high on Sly all of a sudden again. And I really want to do a video about a talking head about Sly 5. I know there's been plenty of stuff out there about it, but I want to do my own take about it, alright? So subscribe if you want to see some of that, some Sly stuff, maybe even a Jack 5 or Jack 4 thing. Maybe I want to do one of those. I don't know, I have some things to say about Jack and Daxter, so we can probably expect to see that relatively soonish. But yeah, Ratchet and Clank is happening first. Lots of exciting things. Other games going on. Other fun content things that I'm not sharing yet because of the secret yet. Also because it might not happen, and I don't want to get anyone. I don't want to say it if it's not gonna happen. But yeah, New Year, 2020. Happy New Year, everyone. I'm excited for the future. I'm just always excited for the future. I was excited for this. This is something that was in the future. I was excited for. Now it's happening. I'm not gonna edit it. I've been recording for 51 minutes. Hey, this is 9 minutes shorter than the last take. Woohoo. I knew this was gonna be long. Jesus. Let's end it now. Yeah, let's stop making it longer for me to edit. Hey, look at me editing this video right now. Just wanting me to shut up. I better not cut myself off. Thank you all so much for your time. I love you all. I'll see you soon. Peace.